What is up guys, Flashfire here, and with Pokemon Sword and Shield just 2 weeks away, today I'm going to tell you why I think Sword and Shield are going to be the best competitive Pokemon games we have ever seen. So, as this is going to be the first main series Pokemon game on the Switch, there have been a couple of different controversial things come up over the past couple of weeks. The main difficulty people are having with it being that we're not going to be getting every single Pokemon on the national deck. While this is a little bit upsetting for some people, I actually think it's a really, really cool change in terms of competitive, and we'll talk about why in a little bit. But as well as that, we've got all of the new graphics provided by the new console and the new models, which is why the Pokemon aren't all going to be there, because obviously there's been a lot of engine work to get the models to where they want to be and to make them look their best. So I'm super excited for all of those things. These games are going to be providing some features that the fans have been crying out for absolutely years and years now. We're going to be getting like a roaming area, proper battle stadiums for when we're fighting and all that kind of stuff. While those are all really cool, I'm going to be focusing today on the changes to competitive Pokemon that I think are going to make a huge difference to the meta and to the community. It's going to bring in a lot more new players, and it's going to be really good for those newer players as well, which is so exciting. So with all that out of the way, let's get into it. Now, one of the most controversial things about the release of these games was that they're not going to have every single Pokemon in them, which personally I think is a really good idea. Yeah, it's upsetting that I'm not going to be able to bring my Typhlosion into the game, but it means that it's going to switch up the meta of competitive battling in a way that hasn't happened for so long. I took a 3-year hiatus from playing this game, and when I came back into it, I was still seeing exactly the same Pokemon in every single team. You've got your Landorus, your Rotom-Wash, your Ferrothorns, your Zapdos, all these things are just showing up in every single team. And I think it's going to be so refreshing to get rid of those and to sort of come down to a smaller pool of Pokemon and just see where that takes us with the meta. I think it's going to be a really cool change and a really healthy change for the game. I think the main improvement here with Sword and Shield over Sun and Moon, because you can't bring everything through with you, it means that you can't just plug and play new Pokemon into your team. Like, for example, coming from X and Y or Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire into Sun and Moon, you could take a team that you already had and just swap out a new Pokemon to fill a role, and it was fine. But now we're going to have to construct completely new teams and build a completely new meta around those teams. It just brings an extra kind of dynamic level to using the new Pokemon, and I think it will make for a lot more interest for people playing the game, people watching content, all this stuff. So I'm super stoked to have a smaller Pokemon pool. Controversial opinion potentially. Roast me in the comments if you disagree, but I think it's going to be class. So the next thing in terms of gameplay is the introduction of Gigantamax and Dynamax Pokemon, and with that, more importantly, the removal of Megas and Z moves. I'm so excited for this, honestly. Like, I would hate to make a video like this and just talk bad about previous mechanics. I think that Megas and Z moves both absolutely have their place in the game. They were both very interesting mechanics to play around with. I did have some issues with them, and I'm glad that Gigantamax and Dynamax seem to be addressing those issues. Something that I really like about the new mechanics is that they only last for 3 turns, so you really need to pick your times. It makes it a lot more strategic when you're going to Gigantamax, when you're going to Dynamax, and then from an opponent's perspective, you have to work out when they're going to do that as well and play around it. I think that's going to bring another really interesting dynamic to the game, much more so than Mega Pokemon, where in the team preview, you just look at your opponent's team and go, oh, that's a Mega Scizor. And that's it. And then the only difference there that you have to play around is, oh, it's going to be a little bit more bulky. And that's it. Like, and you adjust for that immediately, and then it doesn't add any interest to the rest of the game. Whereas with a Gigantamax or a Dynamax, because you can Dynamax anything, obviously there's going to be set things that can Gigantamax, you can Dynamax anything, so that makes it a threat constantly. Obviously there's going to be better Pokemon to Dynamax and whatever else, but I just think it's really cool. As well as that, with the Gigantamax mechanic, they've not just made it like Gen 1 Pokemon or whatever. Something that was irritating for me about the Mega Pokemon was that it was only previous generations that got Mega Evolutions. There wasn't really anything from the new games that you could Mega Evolve. I think the only Gen 6 Pokemon that got a Mega Evolution was Diancie. But with the Gigantamax stuff, because it's so like intrinsic to the Galar region. We're going to be getting a lot of Gigantamax Pokemon from the Galar region. I know we're also going to be getting them from like Kanto and wherever else, and that's fine. Like, obviously the Gen 1 Pokemon are going to be in the game. They already had the models from Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu. Obviously they're going to get some love as well because Charizard is like their flagship, Pikachu is the like, you can't do a game like this without giving those things Megas or Gigantamax or whatever. I think it's a really interesting mechanic. I'm super excited to see how it plays out. I think that combined with the smaller Pokemon pool is going to make for some really, really interesting competitive Pokemon going forward. Now, these next couple of points don't directly affect gameplay, but I still think they are really important to note, and I'm so stoked about them. So the first of these, and the most important for me, I think this is such a huge deal, is that they're actually implementing a proper ranked system. I've played a lot of games like League of Legends and Hearthstone over the last couple of years, and I really like the way that winning games and progressing is rewarded with ranks and stars and experience and all that kind of stuff. I think that's really cool, and it breeds a healthy environment for people wanting to play the game in a competitive setting. As well as that, it gives you proper ranked matchmaking, which means that you're going to have even matches all the time, rather than just, I don't know, finding a Wi-Fi battle on Twitter or whatever, and then there's no telling whether you're going to get steamrolled, you're going to steamroll your opponent, or if you're going to have a really close game. I think having an actual ranked system where you're put up against people of the same rank of you is going to create much more interesting experiences for lots and lots of players. As such a kind of deep and rich and complex competitive meta that Pokemon has, I've always thought it's a shame that you can't get a ladder system without going to third-party software like Pokemon Showdown or something like that. Being able to do it through the actual game system is going to make such a huge difference, and it's going to keep people interested long term, and I think that's really, really important. I'm really hoping here that they allow for all different kinds of battles as well. I really want them to be obviously a 6v6 setting, because that's what I like. As well as that, it'd be cool if they could add doubles and a couple of other different things. I'm so excited for this feature. I think it's going to be fantastic, and it's going to build a community in so much of a better way than any previous game has. In addition to this, as like an add-on, I think it's so good that they're going to be allowing players to rent teams and bring them to ranked. That's such a fantastic idea. I'm not sure about the specifics of how this is going to work. I'd imagine they're going to have a rotation of teams that are available for people to rent, and you can take them into ranked or competitive games. I think that's fantastic. It's so good for old players and new, because it means that you don't have to spend all that time IV breeding and EV training and all that stuff. You can just grab a team, plug and play, and go. And yeah, you won't be able to customize it, but it will give you that feel for the game, and it will get you hooked, and then you'll want to go away and do that. I think it's also really good for people who aren't going to have the time to necessarily do all those things. I think these two features in tandem are going to build such a good community for competitive battling, and I'm so stoked to see where it all goes. Okay, my final point here, and maybe this is just a personal thing. I'm pretty sure most of you guys are going to agree with this though. I'm so stoked for the new stadium environment we've got. Like, the background, we finally actually get to battle in front of like a big crowd in a 3D space. Like, it's basically just putting us in the show, which is what we've all wanted since Gen 1. Like, it's what we've all been imagining while we've been in that 2D battle space. There's so much about these games that we've all been wanting for so long, and I'm so stoked to see like the atmosphere that this creates around the game and how many people just get into it, and I'm so excited. So there we go, guys. Those are my thoughts on why Sword and Shield are going to be the best competitive games of the series so far. I'm super stoked to get into them. If you guys are too, make sure to subscribe, because I'm going to be posting Wi-Fi battles, team builders, and all kinds of other competitive content as the games release. I'm super stoked for it. Comment down below any features that you think I've missed off here that you want to be on, that should have been on the list. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. What do you think about the smaller Pokemon pool? I think it's going to be really cool, but maybe you don't. I don't know. Anyway, like I say, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next one.